Welcome to the Group Dentistry Now show, the voice of the DSO industry. Join us as we talk with industry leaders about their challenges, successes, and the future of group dentistry. With over 200 episodes and listeners in over 100 countries, we're proud to be ranked the #1 DSO podcast. For the latest DSO news, analysis, and events, and to subscribe to our DSO weekly e-newsletter, visit groupdentistrynow.com. We hope you enjoyed today's show.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Group Dentistry Now show. Bill Newman here. Great to have everybody listening in today. This is an audio only podcast. We wanted to get this out quickly because we have the ADSO 15th annual, can't believe 15, wow, 15th annual summit coming up in June. So June 15th through the 18th in Chicago. And we have with us Andrew Smith, the CEO of the ADSO. He is a regular on the podcast. It's great to have you back, Andrew. Thanks, Bill. Really glad to be back again and talking about our summit. I agree with you. You know, I can't believe it's 15 years. I've obviously been here 5, but it's pretty remarkable to kind of see where, or at least what I heard, where it started and now where we are today. Yeah, I can't believe you've been there 5 years already. Time goes quickly, and you've done a lot with the ADSO from an advocacy standpoint, and then also the event itself. And of course, it's not just this one event. You do quite a few different events. You've got the event that's focused a little bit more on the emerging market, which is great too, the emerging groups. And we've got our own Emerging Dental Groups to Watch Awards story that we want to talk about at your main event. So why don't we get into a little bit of what's going on at the ADSO from an advocacy standpoint, maybe get us up to speed on what's going on in 2026 when it comes to the world of DSOs and group practice, what you all are seeing, and maybe what some of your members are talking about. Yeah, no, I thanks, Bill, for that. I think, there's a lot of interesting things, kind of going on, on how do we continue to have the DSO model expand and, continuing to really help our members drive their growth. So, as you're probably familiar, over the last several years, we've been very focused on the portability issue, the licensure portability of dentists and hygienists to be able to more freely move across state lines and practice where the care is needed. We have now the DDH compact that we work with the ADA and the American Dental Hygiene Association on has now 12 states that's passed it. And now we're kind of into that implementation phase and working with the states to get that up and running, which I think will be a phenomenal boon to the to the industry, particularly for access. So we're continuing to focus a lot on that. We're also working with many state dental societies and the ADA around dental insurance reform. That's still a major issue to ensure that benefits are being able to be exercised and received by patients, and that providers are able to be compensated that way. And then we're also continuing to make sure that, there's been, obviously, a lot of focus on the role of private investment involved in healthcare. And I think what we've seen, and again, for the larger macro issue that, dentistry is a little different than medical and how care is delivered. And so, some of the things we've been focused on is when we see in the states some of these healthcare transaction type laws that are coming in, we're really focused on making sure that legislators and regulators understand the dental delivery model and the role that DSOs play in that, and to make sure that there aren't barriers put in place that would, limit access. And so we've been very successful in having those positive conversations and making sure that dental is not included in those. And we're going to continue to be very, very focused on that front as well. Yeah, so you're definitely busy, and there's you're right. There's a lot going on in the different states when it comes to these different either legislation that's in the works or being discussed or has already been passed. And do you find that this is having these conversations with the different states? I mean, are they receptive to the conversations? Do they understand? You talked about the difference between, how dentistry is delivered versus, medical care. Do they understand the differences?
Ye Yeah, so I think, again, most legislators are trying to solve for a larger issue, larger issues always, right? So they're not experts in a lot of how, healthcare is delivered generally. And so, listen, what we've seen is that, in some instances in some states that, some either private equity or other private capital has come in uh, and bought, you know, large health systems or hospitals. And, that has resulted in some instances about potential um, access issues and affordability issues. Now, I think what is interesting when we speak to legislators about that in dental, we relay that unlike hospital systems where a private equity fund or private capital can directly own a system like that, in dentistry, we have the corporate practice of dentistry statutes that don't allow a DSO to own an individual dental practice, right? So there's no influence on the clinical side whatsoever. And so I think once they understand that, and they also understand that, how patients are charged, that there's a limit on reimbursements. It's not as if we're setting pricing on that, right? So I think once they see that and that they understand that the only way for people to get more care is by providing more access, and that's how the DSO model and private capital comes in to allow for that support and expansion. And so when they hear that and see that and they understand it, it makes perfect sense. And so they're saying, yes, you of course are not the item we're looking to solve on here. So it has been very, very receptive, and our government relations team has been doing a phenomenal job of just having those communication and making sure that they understand the differences and our role within the ecosystem.
Excellent. Well, great. I appreciate the update. And you do, as an organization, do quite a bit of work for the industry, whether it's the members or people that aren't members but are just in the industry. And I think it's always it's good for our audience to understand what it is that ADSO is doing on a daily basis, as it really does impact, everybody, all the stakeholders that are listening and watching this podcast, whether you're a member or not, whether you're a solo practitioner or a small group or even a vendor that works with these large DSOs. I mean, what you do is really impactful for the industry, and we definitely appreciate it. And we're really excited to talk about your annual summit, like I mentioned. And I don't want to take anything away from you, so I'll let you kind of tee it up. But it is the 15th annual summit. It's in Chicago, June 15th through the 18th. And a lot of people in the dental industry only know Chicago in February when you go to the Chicago midwinter. So it'll be nice to be in Chicago when it's a little bit warmer.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And one thing before I kind of jump into what we have coming up at the summit, one other thing that we're continuing to hear from our members, and I think we're hearing from all different types of practice models, is workforce is so important, right? I mentioned the licensure portability issue, but also that the cost of labor has increased, and that's putting a lot of downward pressure on the full industry. This isn't just for DSOs. So we're going to be working with many of our counterparts within the industry to think through, like, how do we continue to expand the marketplace and make sure that the workforce that we need is available, and how do we keep it's all about access to care. And so that's another piece you're going to see us coming down the pipeline on, most likely post these legislative sessions. So just wanted your listeners to know that that's something we're very focused on as well. But as it relates to the summit, as you mentioned, it's our 15th anniversary, which is great. And one of the things that we've really seen throughout the 15 years of the summit is that all of the DSO CEOs had come together to work collaboratively to talk about how do we grow the industry and how do we do that as a unit, right? And what are the sharing of best practices? How do you make sure that past mistakes on operational efficiencies, as well as supporting the dentist, how do you keep that moving, and where are we in this new life cycle of the DSO industry? So with that premise, and because the industry continues to grow, we're really doubling down on that collective growth concept, and we're opening this up even more than we have done previously to all DSO executives and their C-suite to kind of have that connectivity that the CEOs have had the last 15 years. And so I think what you're going to see on the main stage in particular are really looking at ideas about, where are we today as an industry? How do we continue to look forward on value creation today? And then looking through what are certain different types of things that are driving growth. Obviously, everyone is focused on AI, but we're going to have various different folks, particularly on day 2 from the AI industry, just not talking about why AI is good, but how do you really practically do it? So I think we're going to have folks, from the imaging side, from more of the optimization and scheduling side, probably looking at all things of how AI is really driving efficiencies on both clinical and non-clinical. So that'll be really, really exciting. And we're going to have various DSO members with those vendors talking about real ways that they're doing it and how people can do it. In addition, because we're very focused on the leadership teams, is thinking through how high-performing teams are adapting in this new environment. What are the things they should be thinking about? What are the ways that other industries who have gone through continued expansion or disruption, how they have adapted? So we have 2 keynote speakers. One of them on day 2 is John Rossman, who wrote a great book called The Amazon Way. And it talked a lot about how to build high-performing teams specifically to adapt into new environments and making sure that they're looking at where the puck is going, to use a sports phrase. So that's going to be very interesting on the main stage. We also have breakout sessions on both days that are going to be focused by functional areas. So the leaders within those various departments are going to be getting together, hearing from experts, sharing those best practices, and really coming away with a checklist of, how are we going to keep engaging and growing the industry. I'll also note that we have many CEOs from outside of the United States coming in. I think we have probably north of 20 CEOs from Europe coming in. We're going to be doing a pre-conference meeting with them and some of our members and connecting them with some of the industry partners we work with to really talk about how there can be greater connectivity in this global environment of the DSO industry, and also just learning from them what they're working on, us sharing the same type of aspects, because there definitely seems to be a hunger and a need for greater programming and connectivity of the global community with each other and outside of Europe and internationally. So that'll be really exciting to see. We also have some programming on the workforce side, particularly with emerging dentists, those that are graduating dental schools, some dental school deans, others, and kind of coming together and talking about what is the next generation needing to be great clinicians. So I think it's going to be a great conference. I'm really pleased. Folks like Bob Fontana, the CEO of Aspen, Steve Built, the CEO of Smile Brands, Scotty Hudson-Smith, the CEO of Specialized Dental, have really taken the lead on building out this broader content and theme for the conference. And we've got a great curriculum committee made up of DSO members that are putting together the breakout sessions. So it should be really exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we are as well. It's the pre-conference day is June 15th.
Yes.
And like I mentioned, this is in Chicago. This is at the Hyatt Regency, which is the one that's right on Wacker, right?
That is correct. Right at the basically corner of Michigan and Wacker, which is a great location, and hopefully the weather will work and be nice. But I've heard a lot of people are excited about the venue because of how it can facilitate great networking opportunities outside of kind of the planned receptions and things like that. So, we're looking to have, north of 1,000 people as we usually have, and should be a great community event.
Yeah, it is a great location and plenty of opportunity to do things, whether it's right at the hotel itself, which is wonderful, or within walking distance. There's so many great restaurants and places to go, and so I think it'll and like you said, the weather will definitely be better than the end of February. So we'll
Absolutely.
we'll be in really good shape. So pre-conference is June 15th. You talked about some events going on there that are focused with some of the groups from overseas, so from Europe, and some other pre-conference meetings that are going on. And then things get kicked off. And I guess do you have vendors setting up on that day as well? Is that the way that works?
Yes, yes. So we'll have vendors coming in, setting up on Monday, and the Solution Center. We're really making that kind of the hub of activity at the event, right? So we're going to have quite a bit of uh, great vendors exhibiting. I think we're sold out at this point. We might have a few slots left, but huge demand, which is fantastic. We're going to be having throughout this summit, the podcast that I host, Thank You for Flossing. We're going to be doing it live and having a lot of interesting guests on and talking about that. But our goal is really to create that energy within the Solution Center area, and really sharing all that we're doing and building that momentum and excitement about where we are as an industry.
Yeah, and that so we're looking forward to being actually a part of
Yes.
the ADSO event this year. And we have at Group Dentistry now, this will be our 10th year celebrating our emerging dental groups to watch awards. And most listeners know about the awards, but there may be some that don't. This is an award that or a series of awards that we give out every year to smaller emerging groups. Some aren't so small, but the people that actually are doing things differently in the industry. And we have an application process that people go through, and it's a lot of fun. We have an editorial board that is involved, and then we get between five and about probably the most we've ever had, about 9 winners in a given year, and they get to tell their story. We let everybody know who the winners are at the end of January, and then we celebrate them at an event with an award. And then we've been doing panel discussions recently, which is what we're going to actually do, the awards and panel discussion at that Solution Center that you talked about. So we'll be doing that on the 16th. So that first day where everybody's settled in at the Solution Center from 12 to 1. So you'll see all the emerging groups to watch. They'll get their award, and then we'll sit down for a panel discussion, and there'll be some really great content. We've got Blueprint Smiles, Break Direction Dental, Birch Dental Partners, Lavender Dental Group, Mosaic Dental Collective, and Oakwood Dental that'll all be there. And you get to hear from them, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of hear a little bit about their story and how they're dealing with some of the challenges. And the cool thing I think is that everybody tends to do things a little bit differently. And I think what happens, and I've heard this from the emerging groups that get on these panels, like they learn from each other. So I think a lot of people in the audience, if they're part of a group, whether they're large or small, will also learn from this panel discussion.
You're 100% correct, Bill. And I, want to give kudos to you and Kim for wanting to host your emerging awards with us. You guys have such a great product and a great opportunity to really highlight these groups that are going to be the leaders. And so we're thrilled and excited to partner with you all on the emerging awards leaders, and can't wait to have it. And I think more and more connectivity that we can do to continue to bring in what the industry is doing in addition to what we're doing is hugely impactful. So I appreciate you guys doing that, and it's going to be a great opportunity for us.
Yes, yeah, yeah, and for us as well. I think just the buzz talking to some of the Kim does a little bit more with the emerging dental groups to watch winners than I do, but she has a lot of discussions with them, and I know there's a real buzz about going to Chicago or asking what to expect, and how many people can we bring, and so it's really it's kind of cool to hear the excitement that they all have, and the opportunity to tell their story, which is I think, number one, what we want them to do. And then I think, again, what we talked about is just the opportunity to learn, where people in the audience can sit and go, yeah, I have that same issue, and wow, they're addressing it this way, and I never thought of that. Or, hey, they're doing it the same way we are. We're right on target. So I think those are the kinds of things that really, when you get people together like this, they can really benefit. And you do a great job of, I think you've got a great lineup of content and speakers. And I love the international aspect too, because there are certainly things that we can learn from what the groups abroad are doing, and vice versa. I'm sure they can learn from what's going on with the groups here in North America and the US.
Absolutely. Very well said.
Well, great. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention too, now this is a bit of a mouthful here, but we do have a 20% off coupon code for any solo practitioner, emerging group, or large group that may not be an ADSO member if they want to attend this event. I'm going to say the discount code and then we'll put it in the show notes because it's a long one. We'll shorten it up next year, but it is DISC20. So DISC like DISC, like you're throwing a disc. So DISC20 GDN like Group Dentistry Now, and then MEM like member. So DISC 20 GDN MEM. And you don't have to remember that. We'll put it in the show notes, but that'll get you 20% off if you actually want to come for the first time to the ADSO event. Check it out. You're not already a member.
Absolutely. We can't, we think this is a great way to continue to build the industry. So for those that are listening, we'd love to have you. Welcome. And I'd certainly love a chance to connect with any folks who are interested in coming and learn a little more about ADSO.
Yeah, and if you want to meet Andrew, just she can shoot you can shoot Andrew an email. I'm sure he'll drop his email address, or you can reach out to us, and we'll make sure you get connected with him. You can find out all the benefits of becoming an ADSO member, and just the networking alone. But you all do, and maybe this is a great way to kind of finish up this podcast. Is maybe talk through a little bit about some of the member benefits beyond the ability to go to your main event.
Yeah, no, thanks, Bill. And for folks listening, my email is asmith@theadso.org. So please feel free to shoot me a note and love to connect with you live at the event. So yes, so I think, the other interesting thing that we've seen with this event over 15 years is that hunger and appetite for connectivity throughout the entire year, not just through one event. So, we have, as you mentioned earlier in the podcast, expanded events now, right? So we have an event later this fall. It's going to be in Dallas, Texas. I'm sure you and I can have another podcast on it of the mid-market, the next level event that we do. And that's about, really bringing together those up and coming DSOs and really kind of double clicking and going narrow and deep on the things that they need to know to be successful moving forward. We also have a meeting that we do in New York that brings together the investor community, DSOs, and other key stakeholders, particularly those on the technology side, to think about, how is everyone delivering ROI for patients, increasing access, and the, larger industry. And that'll be in New York end of September. And then what we do throughout the year is we really bring together, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, about the functional areas. So we have study clubs that meet on a quarterly basis, broken out by functional area, to talk about issues that are going on and continue to build that peer-to-peer networking and connectivity among the C-suite and leadership teams. And so we host that. We also have for our DSO CEOs something that we do about once every other month called CEO Straight Talks. And this is where we have a fellow ADSO, DSO CEO come on. They talk about their background, what they're working on, how they structure their day, how do they structure their teams, some of the things that they're seeing in the marketplace, how they're adapting, how they're evolving. And it's a really great opportunity for folks to share, get to know each other a little more. And then we have content throughout the year where we bring in tons of stakeholders. So whether it be folks on the patient's financing side, whether it be folks on the AI side, whether maybe it's folks on RCM, folks that are in the more investment community. And the goal here is to connect them with our members. And it's all about learning and kind of getting updates on what's going on in this rapid, evolving, changing marketplace. So there's a ton of content that we do throughout the year that aren't just the events that I believe, and we've heard from our members, is filling that void of needing more information and being up to speed on what we're doing. I'll also add, throughout the year, our government relation teams host what we call fly-ins. So we go to various state capitals, have our members go and meet with legislators or regulators to talk about issues, some that I mentioned before, but particularly around the workforce. We were just in Washington, D.C. yesterday, meeting with federal lawmakers and continuing to share our story and kind of how they're looking at things. And so it's another great way to tell the DSO story and make sure that everything within the ecosystem is tied back together and, really looking to promote, position, and protect the DSO model as it continues to grow.
So a lot of benefits to becoming a member, and we just hope that you take the first step and and go to the summit that's coming up in Chicago, 15th Annual Summit. Use that discount code. We'll put that in the show notes. Put Andrew's email in there if you want to reach out to him, if you have any questions or want to meet up with him at the annual summit. And you can learn all about, the actual event, the agenda, the hotel, all the logistics, everything you need to know. You can go to adso.org, or you can go to the Group Dentistry Now website, and we have the event listing on our website as well. So thanks, Andrew. I'm looking forward to seeing you in June and hosting the Emerging Dental Groups to Watch Awards and seeing what you have planned for the 15th anniversary.
Absolutely. Well, Bill, thank you. Looking forward to the Emerging Awards, and I just appreciate you, as always, having me on to talk all things ADSO.
Okay, thank you, Andrew, and thank you, everybody, for listening today. Until next time, this is the Group Dentistry Now Show.
Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast to stay up to date on the latest DSO news, insights, and events. Also, subscribe to our DSO weekly e-newsletter at groupdentistrynow.com.